Two, one, and here we are. Hello, everyone. I am Constantine with the Anonymous Singularity Project and Drummer Boy on YouTube. I am with a guest / friend, Ezra. How's it going, Ezra?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. This is actually our first face to face.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. How old are you?
I just turned 18 last year. I just graduated.
18. You are wise beyond your years, man.
Thank you, man.
I think there's going to be lots of room. I can't wait to see you when you're 30. I mean, if the world lasts that long.
Oh man, I meet I don't associate with people that aren't on my level. I guess I just spend a lot of time online. But
when you say not on your level, you mean not in a place consciously, right?
If I said something about
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can still talk to people with opposing views as long as they're on the same level consciously, right? Because we talk, right?
Yeah.
So you're only 18 and you're wise beyond your years. I mean, man, how did you get to this point? What in your life, if you don't mind talking about some stuff, how did you get so wise to be only 18?
I've lived in, quite a few different situations. My dad is fairly successful, but my mom is not. She's been hospitalized quite a few times, mentally. And I actually thought she was dead until I was 10 years old. And then when I finally met her, it was she lived in a shack on top of a mountain. And it was and she actually, she got me into this stuff, honestly. I had already been kind of interested in, I guess, the occult and stuff like that. And then she kind of brought, I don't know if that's a positive influence, but it was definitely something that grabbed my attention.
When it comes to, and it's my belief that when it comes to past experiences, it's not about if it was a negative or positive influence, it's where it has led you now. If all those things that have happened in your life has led you to a place in your life now where it's a positive moment, then they were positive influences in some sense, I think.
Yeah, and I think people, because I grew up in a Christian household. I'm not Christian right now, in the sense that you'd say a Catholic or Baptist or anything like that. But when it comes to me studying these things, I don't have any family members that support it. I don't have really nobody in my family ever looked at it. So I went online and I met a lot of you and the people I've talked to. All of them I've met online. And then the friends I associate with at school are at least, fairly open-minded and can talk about these things.
Has your spiritual curiosity, I guess I should call it, did that start at a very young age, or did that start after your whole mom situation happened?
I think it took me a while to figure out what it was that I was really interested in. It took me a while to figure out what that really was. It was a spiritual curiosity, but I had been studying religions in advanced physics and shit since I was in early middle school. And I remember I was reading physics books in the middle of English class with third graders and shit. And it's some people, I'm not super intelligent, I've got a fairly average IQ level. But people, they're followers. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to look anything up on their own. So, and my dad might be a million times smarter than me, but I guarantee you he doesn't know anything about advanced theoretical physics or occult phenomenon or anything about that.
It's the thing, we're all intelligent in our own ways, and it's funny because you remind me of my brother in a sense of you've had those interests ever since you're younger. You kind of knew in that sense what you're interested in. My brother is the same way. He's an electronic engineer, and he's, vastly more intelligent than I am, if you put intelligence in that terms. But I've experienced, a lot of this spiritual side of life where I can't, it's nothing I can prove really, but in that sense, I'm more advanced than he is. But we all have, I guess, our gifts. I grew up in like all my family are scientists and like just that way of thinking, right? But they're also, I was fortunate enough to be raised by a mom that was allowing my freedom. I was freedom to go and seek that kind of thing, because ever since I was a young age, I was very curious about God, and I went to a lot of churches and stuff, and I had a lot of experiences in my younger days that I went through in that Dark Passengers video, where I had a lot of early sexual experiences, and there was a lot of events that happened that propelled me to a place where I forgot that curiosity, that spiritual curiosity. And I kind of just became this husk. Like you're 18 now and you're learning all this stuff. When I was 18, I was smoking weed, just starting to smoke weed. And when I turned 19, I was already starting to sell cocaine. And this sort of thing I had no place in my head. And I totally forgot my dreams when I was younger. And after I got arrested, and after all this shit came crashing down on me, I found myself in a place where I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what my dreams are. I'm 29. I'm turning 29 in 3 days, and I'm still working minimum wage. But I'm at a place now where I'm seeking my dreams, because I was fortunate enough to remember that I had that spiritual curiosity, and that's kind of what, I don't know, sought me down this path, I should say. But I don't know. I don't even remember what the point was anymore, man. It's just like you're 18 and you have so much more life and experience ahead of you, and you know so much of these things, and it's like, how do you make room to learn more if you already know so much?
I'm probably not as advanced as I could be. I have friends who are like, oh, I astral projected, and I did this, and I'm like, you can read a million books and you can study for years and years like I did, but unless you're going to practice, none of that shit even matters. I've got books that you're barely even allowed to see. I've got documents and stuff that just really secret hidden knowledge that even I don't understand it sometimes. And you have to be in that kind of I don't do drugs. Like, I don't smoke weed. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do any drugs, So it's harder for me, maybe it would help if I smoked a little weed, but it's illegal, and I try not to I try to stay out of jail, but it is a little difficult for me to, one, I have ADHD, another thing, I have depression, I've got all these problems, and people say, it's all in your head. Like, it might be all in your head, but it's still a chemical disorder, and it is a little difficult to help, cure that. There's no cures on the market for that.
I understand. I also have ADHD, actually. Been on medication a good part of my life for it. Yeah. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
It's so difficult for me to meditate. Like, everyone's like, the key to you progressing is you learning how to access that part of consciousness. And I'm like, that's so easy for you to say, because you know how to do it. And I'm like, and I'm guaranteeing you smoked weed to do it,
Oh yeah, that's to call.
And again, it's what is it called? Existentialism, where like you don't even know if that's what you're doing. Like, reality is subjective, and so if you're going to say that everything around you is real, but someone else is experiencing it a different way, that might be influenced by drugs or alcohol or whatever. So I take things logically. Like, every time I give somebody advice on spirituality, I don't just go off of shit that I feel. I've read books. I've studied this. I understand a little bit more of the logical side, because when somebody gets into it, they're going to automatically associate everything that they're learning with what they already know. So you can tell somebody to forget what you know all day long. They're not going to do it.
Yeah.
The way that I teach people is I give them the logical side of it, and then I give them, that, well, it's not going to make a lot of sense at first. You have to trick your brain into understanding that it's not going to make sense, and you're going to have to learn to feel things a little differently and understand things a little differently. And a lot of people are not open to that when they first start.
It's about experience too, right? You're gonna
Yeah,
have to.
I have little experience. Like, I don't see ghosts. I don't feel things. I don't talk. Like I don't do these. I don't have any psychic gifts. At least none that I'm aware of.
It's the thing too. I've experienced some strange things when it comes to that, but I've never astral projected. I've never seen ghosts. I've felt things. Like I say, I've felt things, but I've never done those things. But that's not to say those things don't exist. And when I say experience, it's not just about going out and doing stuff. I mean, it's about recognizing what you're going through. I mean, we can be having spiritual moments every second of our day. We wouldn't even realize it. You know what I mean? These little synchronicities that happen, to me, those are spiritual moments. Like you're saying on the existentialism, and I brought it up before, I rely a lot on these synchronicities as like a way to tell me where I'm going and what to do. So there was a point those years ago where I was on that spirit quest, and I was camping outside a church, and the pastor gave me keys to go in the church to read books, and I was also volunteering with this little thrift shop kind of place, and I'd go in there and I'd pick out books and stuff. And one of the books there was a book on existentialism, and it's probably over there in my case, but I don't want to go look through a box to get it. But really, there's too many big words in there for me to understand, because, like I said, I'm not a very smart person. Like I know what I've experienced. You know what I mean? I know the things that I've experienced. I know them to be true, but they're totally outside the logical frame. So how do you explain them? How do you prove them? You don't, right?
Well, that's the thing. Is,
talking, and you just, yeah.
I have lots of people who everything is subjective. So when you're trying to describe something to somebody, like Aleister Crowley, I'll bring him up right quick. His writings, to me, is just gibberish. Like, it's just nonsense. And like everything that he writes down, it's like when you get to making music, you just start writing and you just start doing it, and you have no idea what you're doing after a certain point. And I feel like that's kind of what he did. And people look up to this guy acting like they understand what he's writing. I'm like, he wrote it down probably more for him than anyone else. Like, this is probably like a journal to him. Like, you're thinking like, oh my God, he's so smart and he knew so much and he was so woke. And I'm like, dude, this guy was probably smoking a shit ton of cocaine and he has no idea what he was talking about.
Smoking cocaine? That's crack.
Yeah. like
cocaine is crack.
He was on some shit. Like, and like, how do you even get into the headspace of a guy? Like, to read it, you have to be in his head. You have to understand what's going on.
Yeah, let's talk about the headspace and drugs. Like, all these, there's so many reports and these things of these psychedelics, like mushrooms and stuff, helping people propel them into the spiritual world. And same with weed. Like, I believe weed too. I believe weed is a gift from God. And when I say God, I don't mean the singular entity. Don't not some guy in this. I mean the universe, right? That's my version of God. Is just the universe. The weed is the greatest gift to us, and it can be abused. I smoke a lot of it. I probably smoke too much of it. Does that make weed bad? No, that makes me bad, right? But at the same time, it keeps me calm. It does a lot of things for me. And at the same time, I've done mushrooms. Like, I do mushrooms at least twice a year, as not for, I'm going to trip out. It's more of I'm going to cleanse my soul. I'm going to search the deepest parts of my soul, and I'm going to figure out what the hell's wrong with me. And that's what I do.
People who, and I've, keep in mind, I take a lot of my inspiration from religion. So I'm going to use Wicca for a second, because these people may not necessarily be on drugs, and I don't think they do. 99% of these people don't. But people have a tendency to judge religions, based on where they come from. A lot of religions have involved smoking weed for centuries. And they're I
think Jesus was a stoner, straight up. I think all the prophets were stoners, straight up. I'll tell you right now.
Like, Okay, so you know what shrooms are, like where they come from, right?
I'm in a mushroom identification group.
I want to know who the fuck thought it was a good idea to eat something growing out of cow manure.
I don't know, but thank you for figuring that out, man. And thank the guy too. That's like, you don't have to eat them; you can boil them and extract the poison. Right? Thank that guy too, who figured that out. Because that's what it is. It's just the poison inside of them.
Yeah. And I haven't done drugs. So that's my thing. Is like I can't connect to a lot of people that do drugs to get in that headspace because I don't do them.
Yeah.
That might be one because I'm very, very poor, and that might be the other reason is because drugs are expensive. And it's hard to come by, especially where I'm at. The best thing you can probably get is like a gram of weed. You know, people here don't smoke a lot. I have smoked before. I'm not entirely innocent. I have done it. The first time I did it, I didn't really get high. The second time I did it, it was at the bus stop. My friend came by and he's like, yo, hit them. I was like, no. He's like, do it. And I was like, okay. And so I hit it, and it was like, I was bad. Like,
oh yeah, no, I understand. First time is I've been smoking for 10 plus years, so
it comes with like practice. I'm sure it's not.
No, I trip out at the beginning too. Trust me, man. Have you ever heard of salvia?
No, I haven't.
I guess I could say I don't know how to classify it, hallucinogen, but you can buy it in most hemp stores up in here in Canada at least, and they come in different extracts, and the higher extract you go, the more you trip out. I've done this drug many times and it freaked me out every fucking time. I've been eaten by a couch. I've been sucked up in a ceiling fan. My friend did it in public on the bus because we're like, oh, it's legal, so we can just do it in public. We're sitting at a bus stop and we smoke it, and it's just like I can see all the way down the street. It was all fucked up, man.
I smell.
Yeah, I know. But like going back to it, I mean, I think everything can be used as a catalyst for good or bad. And you say you don't do drugs because you can't connect with people, whereas I'm kind of opposite because there are some drugs I'll do just to connect with people. Like my friend who lives, just down. I see him every day. He's one of my best friends, but he's a very guarded person, like very guarded. And shit, man. Once every 4 months he'll get cocaine, and I'll go do it with him just because that drug allows you to be it opens you up and it makes you truthful. It's just the way the chemicals play in your brain, and when he does that, he becomes less guarded. Whatever it is, it allows me. Yeah, that's because I have a history with that drug too. I know what I'm getting into, and I also trust him to know his source because he's very high up there in the drug chain. Because I know a lot of people like that. I often will go visit a white supremacist meth dealer, talk with him about life and shit, and get whatever I can, whatever I can to get there. I want to show this comment up on here. Oh my God, salvia is scary as fuck, and yes, it is. What happened to you, Robin? Did you get sucked up in a ceiling fan? Did you get eaten by a cat? Let us know, and we'll read it out once you type. I don't know, man.
Is this the comment button on this thing, or is it like Facebook?
On this program, it shows that comment we only see, and when this upload will come up. But I've read a lot of the stories and stuff about, I don't know, drugs helping propel you into a different place. And I think everything, it's just like you said, it's perception, right? Two people can watch a house burn, but both walk away with a different version of how it burned. You know what I mean? And whatever's the truth, the truth is the house burned, but
the truth is the house burned, but how did
the house burned? It doesn't matter how it burned, the house burned, right? That's the truth, but we're all busy arguing about how.
But it's hard to look at things like that a lot of times. You're more concerned about how it happened than what happened. Mm-hmm. Especially with politics, because I get into politics quite a lot. And sometimes it's I forget about what I'm even talking about, because it's I'm more worried about the sides and everything.
I don't understand that shit at all. I don't understand sides. I've been trying to figure it out like the last few weeks, going to YouTube on different people's sides. I spent 3 hours on a left live stream last night, and it was literally all about just dressing up in dresses, and then the last hour and a half was about fucking butt plugs and dildo shit. And I'm like, what am I learning here? What am I learning? And I go to a right side, and there's like all this information. And I'm like, okay, I'm learning here. But at the same time, people who I talk to in person, they're like, oh, you're left. And I'm like, okay, but I don't, I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on. And it
just, not like super conservative, more like libertarian, I guess. But it's like, I think that.
Like, what does that even mean, though? Like, I know there's the definitions, but fuck, man. There's like different groups within those too, aren't there? Like, it's just.
It's kind of like music. It's like you have genres, and then you have subgenres, and then you have subgenres, and then
yeah. But that's just it just adds to this more of this confusion and this, and the more I get into it, it's just like the more I want to get out. Like, why does it even matter?
I do feed it a little. I feed the drama a little bit too much than I should, honestly. But for me, it's like it's stimulating, because. It's a discussion. It's something to talk about. It's weird. A lot of the sides have similarities, but one side, there's many sides, and then you're arguing morality, which is not something that anyone should argue because it's stupid. But I'm not going to get into that actually. Cause, I
don't know. Let's get back to You take a lot of inspiration from religions, you said. What particular religions have you studied? Oh, wait, let me read out this comment real fast first. His salvia is, I pretty much, I'm going to show it here. I pretty much turned into a very small particle on my friend's shirt. I also thought it was a little painful feeling in a weird way. Yeah, I don't enjoy disassociatives. He said that. No, that salvia is like that.
It sounds fun. It just doesn't sound like
it's not fun. It's scary. It's fun and scary. It's one of those two things. I'm gonna die. But anyways, I'm sorry to get back. So what the question was? What inspiration? What religions have you studied to get your inspiration from?
I've studied everything from, and some of these I haven't studied in full depth. Hinduism, Buddhism, Shinto, pretty much every form of Christianity, Aztec, Mayan, Egyptian, Judaism. I studied a lot. Satanism. There's different forms of Satanism, so there's a few different ones.
I have a few Satanists on my friends list, and that's like, as a Christian, like that's what people don't understand, how I can do that and call myself a Christian. And I say, as a Christian, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be extending myself to everybody, and
people you don't agree with.
I don't know. I'm not a good. A lot of people wouldn't call me a good because I'm not a Bible Christian. I didn't become a Christian through the Bible. I became a Christian on my spiritual journey, and it was just, I'm a Christian now. I'm just Jesus. That's what it was. And it's not about if Jesus was a real person. It's about the moral example of Jesus. And the whole thing is they say, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, right? And that's, people take that line as a literal sentence as you got to praise Jesus and Jesus as a person. But Scripture, as tells us, is Jesus being a humble person, and Jesus also being the direct incarnation of God, a God who also, according to Scripture, is love incarnate, the form. So if Jesus is love, and he says that, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one gets to the Father but through me, and he wasn't speaking as himself as a person, but as what he represented, that means love. And then that's like, I use that as an extension to love my neighbors. And I'm very against Christians who
like textbook Christians,
and it's like just any Christian that promotes fear, because fear to me is,
I think people get confused, like, in the very beginning of what people call Christianity, there was arguments as to what that should even look like. And the Catholic Church has added, like, you've never seen an open source document like the Bible, okay? Like, it's like the Wikipedia of religions. Anyone can go in there and edit shit, you know? And this happened, like, for hundreds of years before Christianity became, like, a mainstay and they had everything written down. It was politically edited behind closed doors for many years. I mean, decades, you know?
Parts taken out, parts added. Just
taken out, just ripped out. And then we have the Dead Sea Scrolls, and you could say, well, those are the oldest forms of creation, and they line up. But do they really? Because we've removed those from every copy of the Bible that you can buy. So if nothing's been edited, then why would you leave out the Dead Sea Scrolls? Why would you leave out the Apocrypha? Why would you leave out the hundreds of these documents that are associated with the Bible? You just wouldn't.
And you can't ignore
there's nothing to hide, there's nothing to edit.
And you can't ignore also the connections between other religions and the Bible and the story of Jesus, right? Like the whole revival. You know, it's like there's so many. You chase it all the way back to Egyptian, right? It's just, I don't know, man. I think we all got to stop worrying about what labels we call our spirituality or whatever it is, and just recognize that yes, we believe that there is something, right? There is this other part of life.
It's a little more complicated because you're getting into theoretical physics and shit. For me, at least.
See, like I said, to me, I don't define them as that. And that's the whole thing, right? We have these definitions and these words, and these. It's just there's so much confusion.
To me, it's hard to define what reality is because reality could be fake at any time. You could be living in a simulation right now, and you would have no idea. And then when you die, your data just gets destroyed.
I agree. Could be.
I mean, it's
could be anything, right?
To imagine, because we're thinking about it, why not some other civilization that came before us thought about it? I mean, it's... And in the universe, you've heard of entropy, right? Like, things
I've heard of it, but I don't know the definition. You want to educate me a little bit?
Entropy is basically things are going to get worse the more that time goes on. Things are going to get more discombobulated and disorganized. But the universe is a complete disregard for this thing of physics. Physics just break down over time. You go into a black hole, physics no longer exists. When you're talking about the scale of the universe, physics just don't exist. Physics exists in small forms, but when you're talking about the greater picture, I mean, Earth being here is a total impossibility. There's several forms in the solar system. When the sun forms, there's a little small place around the sun where life can exist. If it's able to form, because you have to think about, like, okay, you're saying that the Earth was populated by meteors that carried ice. Now, water does happen.
Yeah,
water
it's about the temperature, and it's all these certain things that have to line up exactly.
They have to happen.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at the Drake equation, the Drake equation states that there should be millions of civilizations very close by to us, and it proves it with math. Math isn't ever wrong, okay? Like, it's just not. Like, if you look at the math, there should be alien civilizations that have been here forever.
I take math personally as the language of God, honestly. I'm not good at math. But sacred geometry and shit, like, yeah.
And I never understood, like, sacred geometry personally. Like, I haven't seen it. Like, I understand, like, the spiral equation thing, and a lot of shit that Da Vinci wrote down I agree with.
You about the flower of life and whatnot?
Is it the flower of life? The flower of life is the circles that go around and then they just connect. That's the flower of life.
That's also as part of sacred geometry because it's perfectly, you know.
I mean, the spiral, like, hurricanes look like this, Africa looks like this, universe looks like, and stuff like that.
Yeah, the spiral in our head and shit too.
The Drake equation, you can look it up. It's basically a calculator for how many advanced civilizations should be in the galaxy, not the universe, the galaxy.
According to our own alignment, like, because this is what we need to have life, right? So
yeah, so we're saying, like, okay, well, we need water and we need, this and that. Okay, well, that should be possible. Then why isn't it? Why don't we have millions of civilizations? You could say gamma ray bursts, but even that's pretty uncommon. The black hole will never reach us, Earth is a lot safer than people want to think. Like, yeah, there's a million things that could go wrong, but statistically speaking, it's not going to happen. Earth is going to be here for a while. But then on the other hand, statistics don't fucking matter in a universe because a lot of them are broken all the time. The math just doesn't add up 99% of the time. Like, it adds up, but then there's an immediate contradiction to the math of the universe.
I'm going to, man, talking about like shroom trips, both of these things tie in together because I'll tell you something. Last shroom trip I had this weird fucking thought, man. I'm like, on Mars, life like water, things are starting to progress where it's like we might be able to colonize Mars, right?
Yeah.
And as that progresses, our own planet is dying, right? So what if, like, I don't know, man, in this like unlimited time we have as souls, as consciousness, as however you want to put it, what if we just keep switching planets? You know what I mean? What if Mars was the old Earth? What if Earth was the old Mars and we just keep fucking switching? And I know that's just a mushroom trip, right? But that's just like, I don't know, man. It's some of the things I think about sometimes.
No, dude. I smoked weed a little while ago. Not anytime recently, like in the past hour, but I did smoke about a month ago. And I was at my friend's house, and they gave me their last beer, and I was drinking and I was smoking, and then I was like, yo, like with cars, what if you just like convert cars to solar power batteries by like a little thing people can buy and put on the cars? And I was like, I thought about it, and I came up with like 3 different theories in the time that I was high for about an hour, and then I passed out in a chair, and then I was like, in the amount of time that I was high, I came up with 3 different theories on time and space. And back it up when I was sober, and I was like, oh my god, it makes sense. Like,
that's what's scary about it, right? You're like, holy shit, like, what do you think about multiple dimensions, parallel universes?
Get me on the multiverse theory. It ties into existentialism. The multiverse theory stating that literally everything you could possibly do has already been done and is happening at this current time. Because possibilities are endless, that means there's an infinite number of dimensions. It's a possibility. The universe, to me, pretty much looks like brain waves. It looks like brain cells, technically. The universe, if you've seen the picture where
brain cells. Yeah, I love that picture because my own belief that universe is God. That kind of just reinforces my whole.
Yeah, the universe is God. The universe is alive. And my friend, the first time I heard that, I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then like he kept talking. I was like, "Oh, fuck this shit." And I was like, immediately like, it's like that guy, he's like, he hears something and like the whole day he's got that look on his face, like in the shower, in the car,
just like oh shit. So many things are changing. I went through that, man. I know that feeling of just having everything just broken down in an instant and turned around. Like that's what happened when I went on this whole spiritual quest. And it's fucking rough, man. It is. Like
it's like people want to ignore these things, and it's the whole thing is like you have 2 sides of your brain. Well, technically, that's even wrong, I guess. But you have your creative side, and then you have your logical side. Logic says no, that's fucking wrong, and then creativity is like no, it could be possible, and then logic is like oh shit. And it's like
yeah, well, that's the thing. Like about logic, like I spend so much time in this spiritual place that there's no logic in, right? Because there isn't. You can try to put logic to things like, this is the reason why I was here when this spiritual thing happened, but you can't put logic to the spiritual event itself. And that's why I love keeping people like yourself around me, because you're like very logical, right? And it keeps me grounded. You know what I mean? Because if I would probably just be lost in this whole, I'm not making sense or is anything. And I just have people around me. I'm very blessed to have a lot of people to give me different angles and different perspectives. And I don't know, man. I think we need more of this in the world. You know what I mean? Just more of this, like breaking it down and just talking.
Yeah, I mean, people, you know, when I started studying things, it was like I was always looking for an answer. And then it's like, even if somebody, I mean, by human nature, if somebody gave you the secret to the universe, if somebody told you all this shit to your face and it made perfect sense, you would be dissatisfied with that. It doesn't matter what it was. Humans are always going to have an innate just dissatisfaction over everything. You know, you're never going to feel like you understand everything or you have the picture.
There's a point to that, though. Like, yeah, I believe. Sorry to interrupt, but like, I believe that's true on a scale if it's someone else's thing. But I think if it's something you're experiencing yourself, yes, there's going to be a level of disappointment to it. But at the same time, there's going to be this sense of euphoria that yes, you're on your right path, and this is what you're doing. And there's going to be that's happiness that keeps you forward, opposed to this grind and system that we're all in, where we're all working for someone else. You know what I mean? And it is.
When you search for an answer, that's the problem. You're not looking for the answer. You know, and I was like, because when I started studying, people would often ask me, like, okay, why are you studying this? What are you looking for? You know, and it's like, well, like, do I have to be looking for something? You know, like
that's exactly the answer, though. What you just said is the answer. The answer is there is no answer.
Yeah, I'm not looking for anything. Like okay.
I'll tell people right now. I'll tell you all right now. I know the secret of life. I've discovered it. The secret of life is to live your life. To live your dreams, your path in a way that makes you happy all the time. That is the point of life. But we don't do it because we have to survive in this social system with this money. We have to work and we have to grind.
And Buddha, if you listen to, I don't think it was Buddha, but it's the Dalai Lama, and he said, and I'm not Buddhist, but I do quote him sometimes. It's like, he said, somebody asked him in interviews, like, what is the secret to life? You know, that's the question everyone wants to know, you know. And he's like, the secret to life is happiness. Like, and it's just, that's all he said was like, it's just happiness. Like, there's no description. There's nothing else to it. It's be happy, be at peace, you know, because every single emotion, every one of them is going to lead to disappointment. Emotions like anger and sadness are just going to loop themselves. If you're constantly
into one, to me, honestly,
do what?
All feelings break down into two. It's either fear or love, happiness or fear. And
I'm not a very lovey person. I'm very judgmental. I'm very logical. I'm very angry, you know, and that's who I am. But it's like, I guess I've become okay with that. Not like, you know, like there's not much I can do about who I am as a person. But because when I was younger, I got bullied a lot, and so I was like, my dad's like, he's like, well, how do you know, the way to stop getting a bully to fuck with you is to just not fuck with them, you know, don't give them attention, don't let them, you know, do it. It's just like, there's no way that's going to fucking work because he's going to keep doing it.
I've heard that spiel, yeah.
And it's like, when I actually tried it, and I was like, oh, well, they did stop, you know, eventually. And you just stop giving, because it's not like they can assault you or anything. It's not like in school they can do shit like that. I mean, I've been picked on thoroughly, and I guess I've become kind of an asshole because of that. And people, you know, they say I'm an asshole, and I've been kicked out of groups. I was an admin for a group that had like 20,000 members or something like that. Like I was just like, do you want to be an admin? I was like, yeah. And then like a month later, I was like, no, this is stupid. I quit. And nobody questioned me. You can't like start questioning shit. You can't be upset with who you are as a person. Like, that's stupid. The way that I teach people shit is like, it's very blunt. It's very straightforward. I'm not going to be like, you know, like, know yourself, do all that. Like, no, I'm not going to give you some stupid, like, dude in the mountains bullshit. Like,
yeah.
I'm going to tell you what it is. Like, stop looking for something that's not there. Don't look for an answer. It's very simple. There's no answer, so stop looking for it.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like we're all products of our experience, and we all relay that experience to others, and like that's the way we try to teach and the way we know. And I don't know. It's just like you said, we can all tell our advice, we can all teach, but really, it's up to the person to actually take that, and they'll take that, and they'll develop it into their own set of words, right?
When I was studying the first time, I was like, okay, well, what's the book? Where's the manual? You know, and I was like, because I think it was Wicca, and then they give you a bunch of books, and they're like, here, read these, and then I'd get really upset because I was like, okay, what the fuck was I supposed to gather from that? You know, there's no like set rules when it comes to the occult in most of those offhand religions. Most religions don't have a Bible. They don't have like a whole story of rule. And I was, you know, because I live in the Bible Belt. I live in North Carolina.
Yeah, there's different parts, right? It's really, there's not a whole complete book. I get what you're saying.
There's no like, when it comes to magic, it was like when I first started, and this is actually the first question I ask people who want to learn magic. I was like, okay, well then, so tell me what you think magic is. And then they're like, it's this. And I'm like, okay, no, it's not this. It's this. You know, and I can briefly explain it right now. When I started, I was like, isn't it like wands and spells and shit? And it's like, no, magic is literally just energy. But if you look on Webster, it's going to tell you something completely different.
Well, it's manifestation, right?
Somebody with experience is infinitely, to me, just somebody that you should listen to rather than everybody else.
Well, it's about manifestation, right? Energy to manifest, and putting that type of energy out.
Magic is, if you ask anybody who does magic, they're just going to say it's energy, and it's the manipulation of energy. That's literally it. But again, it's like you have to be like kind of spiritually open and aware of things, because energy is not something that everyone can feel or sense, you know?
Well, that's the thing. You have to be, in all religions, you have to be that. That's the thing about religions that's so bad. You know, like me being a Christian, I say that. I don't like religions. I identify as a Christian because it was just that one day on my spirit trip, right? Just boom. But like, that's just so bad, is because it's just, they're in it they're just in the church with the mindset. It's all about the mind that they're going to be in there, and now they'll pray and they'll go to heaven. They're not spiritually in the church. They're not spiritually there for Christ. They're only there on the mindset, and that's like they're for the wrong reasons. And there's homeless people like, you know, begging in your alleys, and you can't fucking. There's so much shit within it, and it's just you take interpretation and perceptions of these interpretations, and any person, I find a lot of people too, they'll have these little spiritual awakenings, just these little tastes of the spiritual world, and that often leads to like an interest in religion, but they won't be curious enough to seek that spirituality. They'll only be curious enough to seek that religion part of it that they think they'll identify with, and they won't continue to be with the spirit. And like, that's the thing though, those labels, they don't even matter, because once you get to that place, that spiritual place, it's all about just being there. It's not about how you got there, it's about being there. And about what you said earlier about the secret of life being happiness, that's true. I've experienced that. When I was on my days. I experienced a few days of that moment. It was the most fucking wonderful part of my life, and there was no disappointment. There was nothing in that area but curiosity, learning. Everything was new again. Like I was asking little kids about what their bunch of baseball tournament, and I'm walking around with a stick with a feather coming out of it, a fucking, you know, a long straw hat. Kids were asking me if I was a fucking magician, you know, and I'm like, what is this game? You know, like I didn't care what I was wearing. Like it was just. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And when you get to that place, it's not about, are you a Christian? Are you a Muslim? How did you get there? It's not about that. It's, hey, you're here. Welcome. Welcome. Let's explore more. And it's not about finding an answer. It's not about why this is. It's just finding more of it and connecting to more people. You know what I mean? And that's why I try to put so much importance on it. Is we have to brush past these things. I don't know, man. It's.
Boy, you need a new lighter.
I got a few this time.
I'll tell you, there's a lighter you can get that's like electric and it's rechargeable, and all you got to do is just stick it in the wall.
Well, you know what? I'm like a hipster because I really wanted I needed a fidget spinner before fidget spinners. You know what I mean? That shit could have probably helped me, but now they're all cool and shit, and I can't fucking get one.
I had a fidget cube. I don't know where it went.
So I got this lighter.
Yeah, I need mine. I don't know where it went. I think I pulled a muscle yesterday. But yeah, you have like your little outfit thing. And
Yeah.
I've seen like a few pictures of it, and I was like, what the fuck is he wearing? And I was like, because it's me, it's like, listen, I got like chakra beads on my bracelet, and that's like all I have. That's all I need. Like, I don't wear anything else. But, I mean, to me, it's like people, they look like posers sometimes. You seen the old ass 50-year-old women online, and they got the fucking quartz crystals and shit, and they're like,
No, I get you.
I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
Say it, and I can explain exactly the reasons why I do it.
it's like they have like a little like this feeling, like they all feel, and I'm like,
I'll explain you. I'll explain the reason why I have the costume. All right, I'll explain exactly why. Just give me a second here. I gotta grab something else.
you should put it.
All right. Okay, so when I hit rock bottom and I decided to go on this spirit quest, and I had this moment of enlightenment, this revelation that sent me on this journey. I was sitting at a lake, right, and it all came together, and I have to walk. That was the plan. I have to walk, I have to write, I have to do this thing. This stick was the next place where I looked with my eyes. I looked to the right, and this stick was there. And I'm a tall guy, so it's hard to find good sticks, but this stick is just absolutely perfect for me. I can sit on the ground. It's the perfect walking stick, and this was my first gift. So I went back into town, and I was getting ready to walk down Alberta because that was the plan. And I was getting rid of all my stuff. I brought the rest of my stuff in the house that I was in that I couldn't be in because I didn't have a job. So I brought all my stuff there that I couldn't carry to Goodwill. And my dad bought me, like, the first thing my dad ever supported me in was when I told him I wanted to fuck off and walk down Alberta. He bought me a tent and a water bottle. Yeah, he bought me he bought me some shit. And it was like, holy fuck, right? So I also went to the pawn store because that Sunday a priest was murdered in St. Paul, Alberta. Google that shit if anyone watching. Just Google priest shot St. Paul, Alberta. It'll probably come up. But he was shot, and the next day, I think on Monday, I went to the pawn shop, and this rosary. Oh, fucking headset. And this rosary, and I never go in the pawn shops either, and I had limited money, mind you. But I went in the pawn shop, and this rosary was in there, and this there's like an eye on it, and it's like, yeah, it's part of the reason I went Christianity too was this rosary, and it has like that, and that was my second gift. And throughout the journey, I received lots of gifts in form of water and food from people, just randomly, random people I'd ask. But when I got to the church and started camping behind the church and working kind of for them and doing stuff, I went inside, and there was like these old Halloween costumes, I guess you could call them, hanging up in there. And I took parts of that Halloween costume and some of the clothes I already had, to make my clothes that I wear, the costume.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about it's not only about the colors, because the colors represent something to me, each one individually, but it's just also about, these are what I had. This is my gift, right? This is what I wear when I'm walking and doing my thing. And that's what it is. And there's a lot, like, I have a lot of masks on my wall and I have a lot of things, but nothing is more important to me than this stick, this rosary, and that costume. And that's why I keep them. And that's why it's so important to me that I have it.
Yeah, I don't have anything like that.
Well, that's the thing. That's my experience, right? That's just, I've that whole journey, that everything I did was intuition. There was no plan. It was
so you never
just
thought about it. I might be like people camping outside of a church.
You could. That's the thing. Like my dreams when I was a kid that I forgot. I've always wanted to find some sort of spirituality, like some sort of. I've always been curious about that. I've always wanted to explore, and I've always kind of wanted to write and do stuff. So when I was in that moment in rock bottom, and I had nothing, and I was sitting at that lake, and there was like a little voice in my head, but that was like, it was my own voice, but it was like a more confident version of me, and it was like, hey, you can do all that right now. Do all that.
Sometimes I think that, and then I'm like,
so to me, that's just my realignment. You know, that's my realignment. That's how the universe realigned me with my. It was like, hey, all that shit that you experienced, all the dealing drugs and all the violence and all the things that you did and all the pain and all that is just led you to this point where you can just be the opposite person, and you can grow into this other opposite person, and you can show people that, and maybe somebody somewhere will grow with you. You know, and that's just my path, I think. And I think if you found your true path, that's exactly how it would be for you, and you would find that happiness. I'm not happy by any means. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of disappointments.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry.
To me, I want to make other people happy more than myself. I don't know why, because, you know, on first glance, you're like, oh, this dude doesn't give a shit about anybody but himself. And that might be partially true, you know. I'm not like you. I'm just not, you know, like, I'm not all lovey and shit. Like, I don't make friends easily.
Oh, dude, I'm not. That's the thing. I'm not those things at all. Like, I'm those things online. In real person, I'm very socially awkward. I'm like, I judge a lot. I have a lot of flaws, and I'm not lovey. Like, you know, I talk about love and stuff, but I talk about that kind of stuff with fucking, you know, racist meth heads. You know, like, that's just, like, because that's who I was, so I can connect with those type of people, right? I
don't want to be like a hypocrite, you know, like, I don't want to be like the guy who, like, one day is talking about, like, you know, all these cool spiritual things, and the next day he's worried about paying bills, or, you know, like, I get a court case coming up. It's the first one I've ever had, you know, and I'll be fine. I'll get out, but it's like,
what's it
people
for?
Always judging me, you know. They're always like, Ezra, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, don't fucking worry about it. You know.
Dude,
and
there's
like,
always going to be that, though. But
I always give a shit about them, and then I tell other people, don't care what people think, and then I'm sitting here giving a fuck what they think about me, you know. And it's like, I don't want to be a hypocrite, so I don't want to come off as a hypocrite. I don't want to come off as the nice guy, because I'm not the nice guy, you know.
I'll tell you how I come to deal with that, because I was experiencing, and I do sometimes do the same thing, because, like I said, man, it's for all of us, right? Like, I'm a really super weird person. Like, you know, I have a limited people online that have, like, watched me. How many? I don't know. It's so hard to explain right now. Just people think I'm weird. I don't have a lot of, like, real life people that can get me, right? But fuck, man. I don't know, dude. Sorry.
I thought you were weird too when I met you, if that's any kind of songs. I think it was like somebody else introduced me to you.
I don't know. But anyways, I got off. I was trying to remember. how I deal with it, how I'm coming to terms with it is I tell my flaws at the same time, you know, like I tell you guys this, and I have been saying this shit on these streams, like love yourself. And I tell you, I don't do it all the time. I try. It's hard. It's not fucking easy. It's not easy not to judge people. But there's this point where you can just recognize it, you know, judge in your head, and then you recognize it. Like, hey, come on, man. You know, we're not perfect people. Somebody asked, yes, what kind of show is this? I think it's just a random show about a lot of things that we've been talking about. And I think it's going fucking awesome. I'm enjoying it highly. Enjoying it highly. Both said that literally and figuratively. Ezra, well, like, what do you like? Do you have a dream, man? Like, what do you want? Do you have a goal?
I get asked, actually, I get asked that a lot. If I have a, I mean, no.
And I'm not talking about like immediate goals, like, oh, you want to, like, is there something you actually want to do, like in your heart? Have you figured it out?
I guess music, technically, for me. My girlfriend gets on me a lot. She's like, why are you like you're busy right now, I get it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, you know, I was in love with the music before I ever was in love with her, and I tell her that, you know. I don't always connect with people at all, you know, like I'm not very, like, I show people a version of myself that I'm comfortable showing them.
Yeah, I do the same
with
thing.
music, it's like, I just feel like you know, when I play a song or I'm, you know, when I'm DJing or whatever, I feel like I can show the audience somebody that I wouldn't necessarily show them. It's not me.
Yeah.
I want to be the guy playing the song that somebody else falls in love to, you know? Like, I don't care about other people, you know? I care about how they feel at the end of the night. They go home, they're fucked up, but they had a good time, you know? That's me. I'm not a guy who needs to be at the center of attention. It's not about that. You know, maybe I'm a little narcissistic asshole sometimes, yes, but it's like, I don't care about that when it's me and the music. It's me and the music. It has nothing to do with these people.
So would you say when you're making music that you're happy?
People say live in the moment, and I feel like when I'm making music, that might be the only time that I'm literally sitting there in the moment.
But of course, you have to stop playing music sometime, right?
Yeah, you have to stop at some point. But it's so next year, I got a friend in Miami. You know, and everybody judges me.
I think you might misunderstand. I mean, you have to stop playing music, as in it might lead to, like, just in that moment. You're in that moment, but when you stop, you have to stop sometimes, right? Your fingers will hurt, right?
Yeah.
And then you're out of that moment because it's that disappointment you were talking about earlier, right? I'm trying to understand you, man. This is me trying to. Am I getting that kind of right?
Yeah, a little bit. It's like, because people, it also ties a lot, you know, spiritually. It's like, when you know, people are like vibrations and frequencies. It's like, dude, I'm working with a kick drum about 99% of the time. Like, I get it, you know, bass and everything. So it's like, maybe that's what I'm connected to. Because like when I hear a good song that's got a lot of bass in it,
yeah,
I'm immediately like, I'm in this different frame. I'm feeling something different, you know. I don't always feel that. Like, I like house music because it's consistent. You know, it's like a kick, it's a boom, it's you know, it's right there, and I like that. I feel that. I don't feel when people, you know, say bullshit. I'd rather, like, to me, it's like music that doesn't have any words in it but can make you feel an emotion is like 10 times better than you singing some pop bullshit about how you broke up with your ex and, you know, you're sad now. Like, I don't care about that.
Well, you can always add your own lyrics too, like your own emotion to it, right?
Yeah, and I like that. I like making other people have a good time. You know,
that's a good thing to pursue. Like, the way I see it, man, we have, like, I don't know, like, if we picture ourselves, if we ourselves are this, like, this giant building, this big tall ass building, but it's hollow. We need to make these supports, and, like, let's call each, like, source of happiness or whatever you want to call it, source of love, or each interest or whatever, each one of those things can be a support in this house. So I think we need to like look into ourselves kind of and find more things and experiencing more things so we could find more sources of happiness and build more pillars to hold ourselves up. You know, in case one day strong winds come, you know, blow one of our pillars down, we still have a few more to hold us up. You know what I mean? Like, you're into music, explore more of that. Explore into people. I love music, and I have such a higher appreciation for it after this whole experience. That's just another thing that changed with me, because I recognize the power in it. Right? And like,
my teacher, I'm gonna set up this fucking shit. My teacher, the one that really got me to figure shit out, was a shaman. And if you know anything about shamanism, they use drums. Drums are.
I'd set up. That's the whole goal. And sorry to interrupt. That's my thing. I told my buddy, my one friend I saw before I left. I said I'm gonna go become a shaman. Anyways.
Okay. It's too long, can't explain. Gonna be a shaman. I'll see you in a year.
See you later. I'm gonna go become a shaman. Yeah.
But they use drums, and you know, when I told my guy, I was like, dude, I'm having a hard time. I cannot meditate for shit. And he's like, use drums.
Drums.
I was like,
I need a drum.
I was like, use drums. He's like, but for me, drums are different. For me, I look at them musically. I can't like zone out to drums.
That's the whole.
So
I need a drum.
I need a drum. You can get them for like $100.
I'm the drummer boy without a drum, man. And I took that title on that Spirit Quest. And that's another one of those things that was just like, oh, I'm a Christian now. Oh, I'm the drummer boy. Right? And that's like, and I need a drum.
I need to get you a drum.
Because I'm the same thing, man. My mind, I can't meditate like that. Right?
I heard something. If anyone else has like a problem meditating in the stream, or they're wondering about it,
yeah.
If you know anything about Da Vinci, he would do this thing where he would light a candle and he'd put it on the end of his bed, and at night he'd sit up and he'd stare at it. And he's actually written about this. He'd
Flame meditation.
At the ceiling, and he'd be able to put himself in a trance like that.
Yes, flame meditation. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a lot easier than closing your eyes and just shutting the fuck up. Because your brain needs to focus on something. I don't care what it is, your brain has to constantly be focusing on something. Flame meditation is probably 1,000,000 times easier than just sitting there.
It's a good starting point for sure.
A lot of people are like, sit there and like, don't do anything. I'm like, I can't sit there and not think about anything.
Also, if there's anybody in the stream that has certain meditation techniques or has figured out a way to meditate, let us know.
Yeah, because we suck at it. So tell us.
And that's something I also like. I want to get into Tai Chi. I just randomly stumbled across a Tai Chi place.
That same guy I told you, he does Tai Chi.
Oh, really?
I don't know what it does for him.
Sorry, I totally interrupted that story about him too. I'm sorry. Go ahead and.
You're
gonna tell me something.
When we first met, I was like, because I was like a doubter. I was the skeptic that like your mom warned you about. Like I not like this shit. I was like, there's no way this fucking shit's possible. You know? Have you ever seen the movie Doctor Strange?
Yeah, I've seen it about 4 times now.
I was like, there's no fucking way. It's not. You know, it's this. It's not what you think it is. It's this thing. And so when I started, I was like, okay, here's the thing. And he did this for me. He's like, tonight, I want you to be in my dream. I'm not going to tell you what it was. I have really vivid dreams, so I can remember them. I'm not going to tell you what it was. The next day, you tell me what it was. And the next day, he told me what the fuck it was. I was like, and like, dreams are not something you can guess. Dreams are not something that you can like eliminate possibilities on. It's just not. I had a dream that I was in a train cart and I was like fighting somebody. And then I was like, did you get it? And he's like, yeah, I dreamed about a train car. I was like, no, there's no fucking way. It's like, I was so freaked out, man. I was tripping.
That's cool, man. And that's the thing that like I kind of miss and I kind of don't miss. I smoke a lot of weed and like that means that blocks out a lot of my dreams. But at the same time, my dreams, like, they get really intense.
When you do drugs, does it get intense, or is it like
And I
think your
remember
audio
them, they're intense.
there? Yeah.
Might be just the stream. Is that better?
Yeah.
My dreams just, they get really intense and like just apocalyptic shit, and that's when I remember them, right? So especially if I'm smoking weed and I remember a dream, then I pay attention to it, because I've had a lot of times where there's like, it's just those things, right? And I'm sure everyone's done it in some sense, where you have a dream and in some sort of way it kind of comes true, right? It's just, I don't know, man. There's so many fucking weird things that go on with us.
And it's like your subconscious is like just so complicated, you know, like it's kind of trippy, you know. Like damn, it's really weird. When thing like, okay, you've seen Ant-Man, the movie Ant-Man?
Yeah. I love Ant-Man.
When he goes like when he like gets so small that like literally the universe just starts tripping around him, like,
oh dude, yeah. Everything just keeps, yeah. And then it's like a new universe, and it's like a new world. Yeah.
Universe and setting is like, that could be happening with like atoms and shit. It's like shit becomes so small that it's like, what are you like able to comprehend? Like there's no definitive line, so you start tripping out on possibilities, you know, like, and that's what honestly it's like the multiverse theory, like that's another thing. Like subatomic particles is like, how small can you go? Does small just become massive over time? Like,
and like how small, if that is existing in our reality right now, what are we on the scale? You know what I mean?
Are we
really the fucking ones? Like, what's going on? There's just so much shit. There's so much complex shit that's like, that's inside these realms that we've only touched the surface.
And I think my friend, he's Christian. He's like actually like, when I first met him, I talked to him 3 years later because I forgot his name for a while. And I asked him, I said, "Are you still Christian?" He's like, "Yeah, but like not like that." So we met at a Baptist church.
I understand.
Like a Baptist church, like down home, southern, like wrath of God. Like, it was shit here. And they were nice people when they weren't telling you that you're going to hell. But this guy, you know, this guy, you know, he's older. I knew his dad. His dad's actually a really nice person, but he's like super Baptist. Like he's very like textbook Christian.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him, and I was like, okay, really, what changed? He's like, I don't know, man. Things are just, you know, I was like, I'm glad, because you actually realize that maybe something's not adding up here. Yeah. And he's like, I think Jesus was like, you know, he was on something else. You know, he was on a different level. He wasn't like the Jesus that we read about on Sunday mornings. I was like, you're right.
There you go. Like, now you get it. Yeah. He was the ultimate hippie. If Jesus was his name. Hey, you know what? I think we're gonna have to restart this because I think the connection. Hey, anybody watching? Do you want to keep going? I want to keep going if you're up for it. But I forgot to give. Yeah, I think it's lagging because it's been too long, because it's only supposed to be like 20 minutes. We've been going for a while. But we can make another one. We can keep going. Make another one.
We can put it on your timeline.
Oh, we can put it up on here still. Okay, let's make it again. I'll see you in a second.
Okay.
Anybody watching? We'll be right back.